And here's something that we don't often see, and it just happened twice. The House voting unanimously to force the federal government to declassify all intelligence related to the Wuhan lab and possible links to the start of the COVID pandemic. The Senate also approved this bill unanimously. Moments ago, the White House would not say whether or not President Biden would sign this. But lawmakers have more than enough votes to override the veto there. So let's bring in California Republican Congressman Mike Garcia, who's on the Intelligence Committee. Congressman, very good to have you with us.
Hey, thanks, Martha.
So tell us what the mood was like in there, and how did we get such bipartisan support for removing any barriers to getting your hands on all of this and declassifying this information?
Yeah, it's encouraging, and I was actually impressed that there wasn't a single no vote on this one. Even just a week ago, there were several Democrats that said that they would vote against declassifying it. It's irrational to not want to declassify this. You know, we had close to 7 million people die worldwide from COVID, and there's still to this day, 3 years ago, we're marking the 3-year anniversary when we went into lockdown. There's still way too much speculation, and there's a couple federal agencies that have come out and said they believe it came out of a lab. Out of Wuhan lab in China, but not with enough confidence for us to really know. And the big thing is we've got to hold China accountable. We need to declassify the information so that the right agencies can get access to it and actually do the forensics on this and hold China accountable.
Yeah, I mean, it all became very political, unfortunately, in this country. And, you know, we've talked to Dr. Redfield, who was the CDC chair, quite a bit here over the last, years of this. And he felt strongly that the makeup of this virus could only have been created in a lab. And he basically got stonewalled by Dr. Fauci and others. That's what he told us here. Jim Jordan brought this up at the hearing, and then I want to play at the end the reaction that Neil Cavuto got from Dr. Fauci. Watch this.
3 days after they say it came from a lab, they changed their position, and the only intervening event's a conference call with Dr. Fauci and Dr. Collins. And then 3 months later, shazam, they get $9 million. I
almost have to laugh at that, Neil. I mean, that's totally bizarre. I have always kept a completely open mind that it could be one or the other. Quite frankly, the evidence weighs more likely towards one, namely a natural occurrence.
So that, I mean, do you think that if these documents, if all of these findings are declassified, will we see a day when Dr. Fauci is questioned on the open book of what was going back and forth in reality?
Yeah, I think we're already seeing the questioning of Fauci, and I think the arc of evidence on this is going to be unfavorable to his position. Look, this is why people don't trust the federal government right now. You have someone who's working at his level, chartering a paper to contest one of the theories here on where the COVID originated from, and then reviewing the paper and putting a finger on the scale on that those assertions. So this should be open science. This should be people looking for the evidence, tracking it down, getting to the original source, and we'll see where this goes. But today was a huge step forward in transparency, clarity, and security for the United States and for Americans, and to see it with such bipartisan support is actually a positive thing.
I mean, that is what is so surprising, right? Now you have Democrats and Republicans standing up and saying, no, we're not going to, sort of stonewall this idea that it was a lab leak. And, the irony is just so rich here that the people who said, well, maybe we ought to look at the Wuhan lab that was next door were just shunned and shut up, basically. And now you've got both sides of Congress. So why isn't this easy for the White House at the podium to say, of course the president would agree with this? You've got unanimous in the House and Senate. Of course the president wants to see all of it.
Well, yeah, it's 3 years of selective data that they've tried to substantiate some of these assertions, calling people conspiracy theorists, and it's been politically weaponized, unfortunately. So they're going to have to undo that, backtrack, and they're going to get a little egg on their face. But in the end, this is in the interest of our nation's security. China is at the center of this, whether it was intentional, unintentional, in a lab or not. We've got to find out where it came from, how much they knew, how to prevent this in the future, and more importantly, how to hold them accountable.
Yeah, I think you're so right about that. I mean, if you get a little egg on your face, isn't it worth it to really find out and understand what the real science is here and what we should all be aware of so that we know the next time this comes around, and we God hope it doesn't come for many, many years. But Congressman, thank you very much. Good to talk to you today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Take care.